Folks, I'm back. It's the Outlaw Shaver here, and after a little bit of time of trying to keep you guys pinned to my mirror with some tape, we'll see if the camera hangs out up there long enough. But I did hear that they're making this new thing called a phone holder, and I might have to look into getting one of those. So anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? I just wanted to kind of give a little special tonight with a shave. First off, we'll start off with I'm going to be using this Aristocrat. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? And along with that, I'm going to be using a Polsilver blade. Brand new. I used one time before, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go in this and see how it works with that too. But the feature tonight is going to be a little bit of a break from tradition, at least on the naming of characters in the Wild West product line. And originally I tried to stick with what you would call true-to-life characters, part of our history, but there's been a few references and suggestions as to things that have been made popular on TV series as well. And specifically, we're talking about Wild Wild West with James West and his sidekick Artemus. I don't know which one was really the sidekick most of the time. It seemed that Artemus was a pretty crafty dude to me. Anyway, this comes at the request of James West, the real James West, who is the son of James West, who is an avid wet shaver and a good contributor on the forum called Badger and Blade. He has purchased a few soaps from me, and he has done me the honor of letting me know that he has relegated them to his small group of top tier soaps that he uses, and I'm quite honored with that. He has made a request that I would create a soap in tribute to Wild Wild West. So here it is. It's called James and Artemus, and the scents are rose, bourbon, leather, vanilla, and steam, or steampunk. This series on the TV back in the late 60s, early 70s, I believe it was, I saw it quite often when I was a kid, and I was always fascinated with it. But it is a mix, a fantasy mix of the Old West crossing over to the new industrial area and around that time. So it's funny that you will see villains wanting to take over the world with scientific devices and bombs and things like that during a setting of the Old West, or as they called it, the Wild Wild West. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get started. Here's what the product looks like in the can, and how I like to use this. I mean, there's so many different ways and personalities in the way that people use shaving soap, how they like to mix it. There was a question as to the texture of the soap and why I went with it as soft as I did. And part of that reason is that if you want to load it from the tub itself, it only takes a few strokes. It takes less time, and you don't have as much leather pouring over your hands. You can actually load a brush dry. I've done that with a synthetic brush. Just load it up dry and then add the water. Another thing is to take a little bit out, make a pre-lather with your hands, rub it on your face, and then go ahead and lather up on your face. Or simply to mix it in a bowl. And usually I prefer to mix it pretty much most of the way in the bowl and fluff it again a little bit when I get it on my face. So I'm going to take a small amount of this. Oh, I'd say about the size of a pea. I don't know, maybe they have big peas here in Oklahoma. But that's about the size that I use on my fingers. So, and I take and smear that into a bowl like this. And proceed to put a little bit of water in it. And just give me a moment. Today I'm going to use a brush that is a boar bristle. It is an Omega Professional. I like this brush. It seems to do rather well for holding a good amount of leather, and now that I've got it broke in pretty good, it seems to be pretty easy on my face. It did start out a little bit prickly, but there's nothing like a boar brush once you finally get it to where you like it, when it starts to get its split ends and fray out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started up. Shake out most of the water. And here's what we've got with a few turns. Okay, I think we got it just about right there. Now, about this scent. It's kind of an awkward thing right at first, or at least it seems to be. The rose has just a little bit of a bite when it's combined with the leather. So, first out of the gate, it is a wild thing. So, after some time, what I've noticed in testing this out, that the rose starts to dissipate just a little bit, and then you start picking up the bourbon and the vanilla, and later on, after some dry down time on it, you get like a wafting in the air of rose. But if you put your nose to your skin, that you will get more so the vanilla and the leather afterwards. So it's an interesting morphing, changing type of scent. I really do like it, and James West, I thank you for putting the idea out there and almost insisting that I try it out. So I did, and this one's for you, buddy. I've used this razor one time before, so far. Didn't get it too long ago. And what I have noticed on my last shave with it, it seemed like it was just a tiny bit more aggressive than a super speed. Although very much similar in design. Almost identical, in fact. I think it might just have a little different pitch to the roundness on the head. I do like the weight of the handle. I can understand, even though I don't own one, how people can like the Fat Boy so well. And to my understanding, the head design is very similar to the Fat Boy on this, only the Fat Boy being adjustable. And someday I may afford myself the luxury of owning one. And you won't believe that I actually just pretty much stole this one. It was listed with some oddball description. I just happened to see it. They actually called it something else. I can't even remember what they called it. Maybe a slim adjustable or something. Anyway, it was mislabeled. And you know how people get kind of particular about descriptions, and if a description doesn't match the product that they've actually got on there, sometimes they'll just turn up their nose and walk away saying, oh, well, that guy's crazy. Well, yeah, I'm crazy enough to go ahead and bid, you know, $20 or $30 on it. And it seemed like that I got it pretty cheap because it was just almost ignored. Just to show you, this is the condition of the box that it came in, as well as the interior being relatively good and clean. And it came with some still in the package original Gillette blue razor blades. And I have not decided I want to get into those yet. I would love to try one someday, but I'm just not ready to dig into those package of vintage razors yet, razor blades. Anyway, there's pass one. We'll go ahead and get some more on. I'm really enjoying this Polsilver blade. Very smooth. And I do like this razor. I've never really been a fan of gold bling on stuff. You know, I much prefer most of the time a good chrome or nickel or a polished silver, but or even a brushed or beaded stainless. But I really do like this razor. It does look classy. It's not too blingy without, because it has some good knurling and texture in the handle, and it just doesn't seem out of place. Go ahead and get a third pass here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just add a dash of water. As I said, the initial shock of the scent on this is going to be a little rather strange to you, but on the dry down it's just absolutely beautiful. It's something that seems to morph. And when I've put my arm, or where I applied it before, up to my nose, I don't get rose. I don't smell that when I'm up close on it. I get the leather and the vanilla. But in the air, I walk through the air and then turn around and come back, and I get the rose. Got me a little bump there. It's not the car, it's the driver. I've got another one right here, bug bite. Fortunately, I haven't knocked the top of it off yet. Let's see how that feels. Maybe a little touch right in here. So I'll go ahead and pull the rest of the lather out here. Need to get a little more water on that. Also, James, if you're watching this, from the soaps that you have tried out before, I know that you were pretty happy with the slickness on it, but again, in the last reformulation of the soap, or I should say recent, in all of my batches I have started doing another step that makes the slickness even better than what it was originally. So folks, it'll only get better, and it's because of good feedback from people like you and suggestions that people make, and that is my ultimate goal, to listen to good, honest feedback and correct things that need to be corrected, improve on things that can use improvement, and if it can't get any better, then leave it alone. Other than just coming up with a new scent once in a while. So, at least for tonight, thank you, and thank you for watching. And James, this is for you. James and Artemus. Y'all have a good night.